Alright, so what I'm going to do during this video is I'm going to take you through how to select an image off the internet that we can convert then into a vector cut ready image for the laser engraver. This is specifically for the vacuum form project with making a mold. If you're not going to hand cut your mold, how to use the laser engraver to cut it if you have a lot of detail and things in your actual image, your logo that you want to be working with. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and go on the internet. Before you do this, make sure you get your thumbnail sketches checked by the instructor and get those signed off so you guys are on the same page on exactly what you're planning on doing. Once you have that done, we're going to go into the internet. I'm going to do a search on Google, and I'm just going to look up Penn State here for this example. And as long as you find an image, I'm just going to click on images and tools. So we want to find one with a fairly high resolution to work with. And by high, I would say anything over 800 by 800 should be fine for you. The larger the resolution, the original resolution, the better the image is going to turn out. But we do want to find an image that has a distinct dark color to it. All right. So like for these, Penn State logo works great because it's a dark blue. And if you can find an image that's black and white, that's preferred. But we don't want to find an image, for example, like this one here might give us some issues because there's some grays and things in here. So we want to find one that's just a distinct, solid color that you can work with. All right, so this here would work. This one here, the Big Ten logo one here would work. Any of those would work fine. For this project to vectorize it. All right, this one would be, there's a lot of detail in here that I don't know how that one would turn out, but some with distinct color. So I'm just going to actually select this one. It's fairly large. It was 2000 by 2000, which looks pretty good. You can see here. So I'm going to save this image. You'd want to save this into your plastic tech folder, into your vacuum form folder project. So that's what you'd want to do. I'm actually just going to put this on my desktop for now. I'm going to delete it out later, but you want to save this image and then close that out. And then the software that you're going to open then, minimize that, is Adobe. You could do a search then. You have to use my computers, the classroom computers for this. So whatever your safety glass number is, if let's say your safety glass number is 9, you're going to get computer 9. All right, so you're going to log on to that machine and you're going to look up Adobe Illustrator. And Illustrator CS6 is the current version. If there's a newer version of Adobe Illustrator loaded, just load that one. All right, so Adobe has loaded. And if you have any background knowledge on Adobe Illustrator, that's fantastic. I'm not sure if you had one of the graphics classes here at the high school, you might have some background knowledge on it. It's not a difficult software to work with, especially if you have any background knowledge on Adobe Photoshop either. But we're just going to look at the basics of this to go through. So I'm going to maximize my screen. You have what's called a tool palette here off to your left. Some different tools in here. The first thing that we're going to do is go into File, and you're going to go to New. And if you know the size, you should have a general idea of the size you want to make your mold. We're going to go ahead and, let's say the max size is 8 by 10 for your mold. But I'm going to make my layout slightly larger, about a 1/4 inch larger. So if I know I'm going to make it, with the example I'm using, it's going to be about an 8 by 8 layout. So you want to make it a 1/4 inch larger. So instead of 8 by 8, I'm going to make it 8.25 by 8.25. for the width and the height. You want to make sure that your units are on inches, and then you can just call this vector mold. Alright, so again, the size is a 1/4 inch larger width and height of what your anticipated mold size will be. This is basically going to represent my page size that I'm going to be working with. Orientation, you can just leave the default and then just click OK. Alright, so now I have this 8 1/4 by 8 1/4 layout. I'm going to press Control R on my keyboard, and that shows me the rulers across the top, and then on the left hand side there's also a ruler bar, so I can see kind of the general dimensions that I'm working with. The next thing I'm going to do is place my image in here. Alright, so I want to go to File, Place, and that image that you saved from the internet, we want to go ahead and locate that. So you're going to go ahead and place the image into the document. For now, I'm going to resize this image. If I look, once I placed it in, it gives me a size. Currently, when brought it in, depending on the resolution that I saved it as and brought it in, it gives me a size of the image. I'm going to go ahead and change that slightly. So I want to make this 8, and I'm going to link. And undo that. Before I do that, I want to link my width and height proportions together, and I will make this 8 by 8 for this example. Okay, so you want those to be linked together before you put dimensions in there, and it keeps everything proportional. Alright, so now I have approximately an 8 by 8 logo on an 8 1/4 by 8 1/4 layout. The next thing I'm going to do is, once I have this image, I'm going to select it. Is up here near the menu bar, I have this icon that says Image Trace. I want to select Image Trace, and basically what's going to happen, it's going to take this raster image and it's going to start converting this into a vectored image. So you can see that it's going to look somewhat pixelated now. That's a raster type of image, and it'll vectorize it. So it's going through that process right now. Okay, so now we have a vector image. You can see how the lines look all smooth now, but we still didn't make any cut lines yet. To make the actual cut lines, once we trace that, is we're going to go to Expand, and now we expand all these different elements. So you can see how these blue dots are all around the image. I'm going to take this image now, and again, up here near the menu bar, I'm going to click on this first item with the question mark, and this is my fill color. So currently I want no fill, so it's the one with the line through it. The red line, a diagonal line, is the no fill. The next icon is for coloring the line stroke. I want it to be black, and then to tell basically the engraver that you want these to be cut lines, vector cut lines, you need to make the stroke to 0.1. So 0.1 tells the engraver that this is going to be something that gets cut and not rastered or etched into the material that you're working with. So now that I have that, these are all vector cut lines, so we're off to a good start. Going back to my tool palette over here, I'm going to select this tool right here. Is called your direct selection tool. It's the white cursor. I'm going to select that one, and I get some of these lines on the outside. I need to delete these out. So I just select the line and then press backspace twice, and it cleans those lines up. Currently I have what's called a double cut line. Just when I convert this from a raster graphic to a vector image to be cut, I get what's a double cut line. So it would actually run over the image twice in the engraver to cut it, which is going to burn the material. So I need to go through all these lines. So I'm going to select them and press backspace twice. I'm not sure if you can see this, but it basically get like a light gray line. I don't know if you kind of see the contrast between the pen here and then the state, how it's darker. But you want to make sure that it's a light gray line. So I'm going to go through all these different elements. select them, and then press backspace twice. This trademark logo, to be honest with you, I'm probably going to take this out so I can just continue to select that and delete that out and clean that completely out. Just because the engraver, to cut that out, it's probably not going to cut out. It's too small, a little bit too much detail maybe in there. I'm not going to use that for my mold, so I'm just going to take that directly out. Now, how do you know if you, what if you forget? You're like, I'm not sure if I selected a particular item to delete it out, so it's only a single cut. I'm just going to go back to the P. If you're not sure, when you press delete twice, obviously it took the P out. I don't want that, so you just want to press Control Z, bring it back in. Control Z is your undo button. So I'm going to go through the rest of the text here, deleting this out. Okay, and this looks like we have a single cut everywhere, and it looks like you're good to go. Okay. The next thing that we're going to do is I'm going to have you print this to a piece of paper and then show your instructor for doing this process. So to print it, we're going to go to File. You're going to go to Print, because this is ready to go. This is done digitally wise with getting it cut ready. I'm going to have you change the printer. The current printer that we're using is the Toshiba Black. Alright, so Toshiba Black printer. Alright, I'll have you go into, under General, goes Marks and Bleed, all printer marks. And this is going to show you, basically print out and show me general size and everything of the image. So now I'm just going to select Print and print this out. So that's going to prepare and print. So once you get that printer, that printed sheet, show your instructor, just check things off, make sure that we have only a single cut line around the image, and I just noticed I had another one right there on the outside, so I would have caught that as well. So you want to just get another set of eyes on it as well, just to make sure that this is a single cut line. Okay, so now that we're done, we're ready to go, we're going to save this. Alright, so we have File, Save As, and it should be saved already as vector mold that we put in there, so we'll put it in your plastics folder. Again, I'm just going to throw it on my desktop for now, but you guys want to put it in your plastic tech folder. And what you're going to do now is cut out a piece of masonite, scrap wood, that's an 1/8 inch thick. You're going to cut it out to the size of your layout, which we set this up to 8 1/4 by 8 1/4, and again our logo is under that. It's approximately 8 by 8-ish. Okay, so that's your masonite gets cut to the layout size, not what you want your mold to be. So 8 1/4, 8 1/4 with this particular example, and that's what we set up the Illustrator file. So you get that set up, you get that cut out, and then just see your instructor, and he can help you with the cut settings once you get back to the laser engraver. But in regards to the digital end of things, that's it. That's fairly simple, straightforward. Some of the main things just to review is find a fairly large image that is black and white, or a darker color that's at least approximately 800 by 800. Larger is better. And once you have that original image to go with, it's as simple as bringing it in Illustrator and converting things. All right. Again, if you have any questions, just go back to a certain part of the video, or you can always touch base with the instructor. But that's vector prep work. All right. Good luck.